God, he got a...
Folks, we're out here with Jody Cordell on Lake Lanier trying to pinpoint a summertime pattern on Lake Lanier, and I think we've just got into something, so we'll see what we can do. Jody Cordell and I fished Lanier trying to pinpoint an early summertime pattern for big spots, and it wasn't long before we got into some action. We started off fishing main lake humps with brush on the lower end of the lake between Beaufort Dam and Van Pugh Park. We were pulling a 6-inch long A bomber jerkbait over the 12 to 15 foot humps, hoping for an aggressive bite. And why do you prefer pulling a jerkbait over these brushy humps out here?
Well, this time of year, from the fish spawning, they're not quite as aggressive as if they were in the spring.
Right.
You could catch them on a spinnerbait on a lot of these places.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little lazy right now, a little tired.
Right. What kind of jerkbait are you throwing?
Model A bomber. It's a unusual one to find. It's pink on the bottom, clear on the sides, and a chartreuse back.
Oh man, there he is. That's a good fish. It's a good fish.
Stay down. Get down, get a bait in the water. Get a bait in the water. There's a bunch of them there. God, there was about 8 or 9 of them all over.
Good fish right there.
I'm gonna let him try to see the other fish with him. Look, I'm gonna let him swim.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let him swim a little bit. I want him to come up if he comes back up out there a little bit, throw right out there to him. There was a bunch of fish with him. All right, there you go. Yep, they all ran. We don't want to lose him. He's a good one.
Mm-mm. Let me get down there and get him, boy.
Don't get that hook in your mouth.
Oh, that is a good looking bass. That is a good one, Jody.
Thank you. That's a good fish.
Came off
good
this
jerkbait fish.
Good jerkbait.
There was about 10 of them with him. I missed about 3 right off the bat when they were hitting it, and then he came up and got it. I saw the whole school of them there with him.
It's a good spot. If the jerkbait didn't produce a strike, we would quickly switch over to doodling a Texas rig worm in the brush.
Got my worm. I'm going to pull straight up on this brush that we've been throwing over, and I'm going to drop a worm just straight down in it. Just shake the worm, move it 2 or 3 times. If I don't get bit, then we're off to the next place.
Hey folks, we have made a little transition here. It's 8:30. We just let a few thunderstorms come through, and we've made a transition to I'm throwing a spinnerbait that Jody says is a good nighttime bait. It's a dark lure. It's got a single Colorado blade. And what are you throwing, Jody?
I'm throwing a little bait called a Sammy. It's a Japanese bait. A little hard to come by. They're fairly expensive with a little road runner on the front of it there. Front runner.
And you're trying for that. It's top water bait.
Trying to get a little top water bite.
And I'm
this
rolling.
Wind blowing right before it gets dark.
And this spinnerbait, all I'm doing, you told me pretty much let it get to the bottom. I'm just slow rolling and barely turning that blade.
That's the key to it, is keeping it on the bottom. If you're not keeping it on the bottom, you're not going to get bit.
Okay. Jody, why am I using a single Colorado blade versus like using a double for this nighttime bite that you've been talking about?
Because just got a lot of thump to it. You're looking for that thump, for that sound, for the fish to find that bait at night. You're looking just basically for a nice silhouette. They're not looking at colors really. You're using a dark color. They're mainly looking for that bait fish, that thump, that sound, and that silhouette. That's all they're gonna see. So if you keep that on the bottom, slide it across the bottom, and you're just barely letting that blade thump, and the fish will just about jerk your rod out of your hand when they hit it.
We're right back on these same humps that we had fished earlier this afternoon. They're fishing the same fish, just throwing the spinnerbait at them.
Exactly. We're just getting it down a little deeper, looking for these fish to come up and instead of coming up and schooling on them to drag them off the bottom.
Back in this brush. They come out of the brush better at night, or?
They come out of this brush at night, move up on these humps and feed. Yeah, it's unusual for them to come up like that.
We only put 2 healthy bass in the boat during daylight hours, but when the sun set and we switched over to spinnerbaits, the bite picked up.
He went straight on the boat, didn't he?
He didn't like it. Oh. Pull them. There you go.
Like I said, they're usually big ones if you get one here.
Where are we sitting right here fishing on this hump, Jody?
This is a hump out toward the mouth of young deer.
That's a good fish.
That's a butterball.
He's a pretty fish.
You want to put him in the live well and
Get pictures.
get a few pictures of some of these fish?
We're going to run a map in the July issue of Georgia Outdoor News. We're going to put this spot right here on the map. It'll be in the article on the summertime patterns on Lanier. They're good looking fish, Jody.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit earlier, Jody, about, you know, the difficulty in finding these humps out here in the middle of the lake. Which hard enough as it is in the daytime. How are you finding them at night, besides just general knowledge? You've been here hundreds of times.
It definitely takes some good electronics. Lowrance, I use a Lowrance 160 GPS. The GPS puts us on them just right on top of these humps.
Mm-hmm.
We throw a marker buoy on them a lot of times, so when we pull up on it, throw a marker buoy so you can back off of it and throw around it.
Just a lot easier using that GPS at night.
Yeah, much easier with GPS.
That's a good fish. What you say, Jody? I'm glad to get one. This is my first. What time is it? 2 o'clock in the morning. My first spinnerbait bite of the night. Jody has out-caught me 6 fish to 1 tonight. Jody, we were talking a little bit earlier about the bite. It's not just as easy as slow rolling a spinnerbait. What do you look for when you're trying to do this?
It's definitely a feel. You definitely learn to get that feel for those fish. You got to keep that blade turning. You got to keep that bait on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. It's just something you got to get out here and practice.
It's definitely something you got to practice. It's definitely a feel that you're going to get.
We're going to wrap this show up, folks. This is a combination of fish we caught fishing jerk baits and worms in the day, and most of these fish here are actually caught after dark on a spinnerbait, fishing the brush around the humps. Some of the fish we've caught, Jody, this is absolutely a great day and night fish on Lanier. I appreciate it. You really showed me something. Hopefully you've shared something with viewers at home. They can come up here and do the same. So I appreciate it. Been a good day.
I enjoyed it very much.
All right, Jody.
Anytime.